Well, now I want to talk about your partner in crime. He's actually your life partner, really. And that is your son, Dooney, whose picture is up there.
Yes.
I want you to talk about the whole story of being told no and it's impossible to God making it possible, and then talk about the relationship that y'all have now.
Okay. Whew. So, the whole being told no. We've read so many stories in the Bible of women that were not able to have children or conceive. And I can remember being a young girl having, I had terrible menstrual cycles. And I would bleed so badly. I was literally the woman with the issue of blood. And so I remember going to the doctors, trying to figure out what was going on. No one could ever seem to figure it out. So they put me on birth control at an early age, to kind of control the blood flow and all of that stuff. And then eventually one day I grew up and I got married. Now, mind you, I've always been that person that loved children, adored children. Children, they would just cling themselves to me. So I was like everybody other mama, all my friends that had kids, I loved on their children, treated them as if they were my own. And so maybe in my early 20s, when the doctors found out that I had endometriosis, they told me that I was going to lose one of my ovaries. And for me, that was probably one of the most devastating pieces of news to get, because I always desired to have children. To be honest with you, I probably would be the little old lady with a shoe that had so many children she didn't know what to do, because I loved kids like that. So I would have had, of course, more than one. I would have had me a handful. But unfortunately, that wasn't the will of God for my life, and I'm okay with that now. I'm at peace with that now. But anyway, so they removed my left ovary, and at the time they told me that, like I said, I was married, and my husband at that time, he loves children. I mean, and he is an excellent father. I mean, he's a father that provides. He's a father that does what a father should do for all his children. And I say all because he's still making them. Oh my God. He still got babies, because he loved kids, and so that was, some crushing news for us. We did everything that was possible. We went through fertility treatments. We did it all. And so the doctors had told me that, the endometriosis was so bad that I wouldn't be able to, carry a child or have a child. And that broke my heart because, like I said, my husband at the time, he had kids. He had 4 children. So here I am, a young woman in my 20s with 4, people call them stepchildren, but they were my babies. I had 4 babies, whose lives I was in, dealing with, multiple baby mamas and all this stuff. And so, I got some of my family in one ear screaming, like, you don't even have your own children. You out here dealing with this and da 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 da. And I was like, I'm okay. I'm purpose for this. I'm okay. So I had accepted that man told me no. Okay. But I had accepted that man had told me no. And I accepted it because I didn't want to be hurt by it any further. I didn't want to be hurt by the rejection of being told that I could not have children. For me, that's what it felt like. It felt like total and complete rejection. I felt like God rejected me. He declined me in the most significant area of a woman's life in a marriage, to produce children. I mean, isn't that what we were put here for? how could God reject me? How could he do this to me, knowing all that I had already gone through in my life with the sexual molestation? You know, it left so many questions like, you know, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? Can I not have children? Were there scars or damages done to my body? You know, why did this endometriosis come upon me? Why did I have to lose my ovary? It was just so much. And so fast forward to, well, let me go back. Because this for me broke me in so many places, in so many areas of my life. Because my husband at the time wanted children so badly that when we started having issues in our marriage, he called me damaged goods.
Mm.
Yep.
And so what role did that play in how you felt about yourself and even the situation?
I felt like damaged goods. I didn't feel enough. I felt like part of my womanhood had been robbed from me, because what man, you know, wants a woman that can't give him children? Those words tore me completely apart because I felt so useless. I mean, out of all that I poured my heart into in the marriage, in being a stepmom, because I took pride in that. Those kids went to church with me. I bought their school clothes. I fed them. I did everything that a mother would do for her child. And when he used those words, I received them, I think. I received them. I received that I was damaged. I was damaged because I was sexually molested. I was damaged because I was once sexually promiscuous. I was damaged because now I could not conceive a child. And I realized that I was damaged mentally as well. So that was hard for me to overcome. But I told God this. I said, I may not be able to have children, but I am the mother of nations. I don't know what made me speak that or manifest that out of my mouth, but I know that I said it. I'll never forget that I said, I am a mother of nations. And I felt that way because, again, I had children that I did not naturally birth, but I was a mother to a lot of people. And that's one of the qualities, great qualities about myself, is that I'm a nurturer. That's a good thing and it's a bad thing. We'll talk about that at a later time. But I'm a nurturer. So I was okay. I mean, I had finally become okay, and I made peace with God about it. And I believe for me in that moment of making peace about it, and not only making peace about it, but I also chose to forgive the person that molested me at that time also. I remember this plain as day sitting at my desk at work, and I just started typing, "Dear so-and-so, first let me say that I forgive you. Second, this isn't about you. This is for me." And when I got done and I hit print, it was 15 pages almost. Because I literally got everything out of my mind, off my chest, out my gut that I needed to get out. And I believe that God honored that moment. I believe that moment for me was a moment that God said, she really gets who I am. She really gets this thing. She gets forgiveness. She knows that in order for her to go any further in life, to make a next step, that it's going to require forgiveness. That was the most challenging piece of me that I had to forgive. But God was also preparing me for life down the road, because he knew I was going to need to forgive again and again and again and again. So forgiveness for me became easy. It's not a challenge like it is for some people. Some people struggle to forgive, whether it's I forgive you, but I ain't gonna forget, all that stuff. Listen, honey child, do it the God way. He forgive you, he threw your stuff out in that sea. Do the same for people. It's simple. And so I said all that to say this. So in 2009, I was diagnosed with sarcoma cancer. And so I had a lot going on. I had multiple surgeries and things of that nature. Organs being removed, living with the organ removed that I didn't even know was removed. And I remember shortly after the second surgery, because I had two surgeries within that year, and shortly after the second surgery, I remember I was married to my son's father now at this time. So before he and I got married, we discussed this, because I knew that was going to have to be a conversation that I would have to have with any man that decided he wanted me to be his wife, is that the possibility of me giving you a child is like really slim to none, brother. It ain't happening. So are you okay with that? Can we move forward? And for us, it was perfect. It just worked out well. He had already lost 2 children in a car accident from a previous marriage. So I think the whole idea of having kids, again, even though he had another daughter, but the relationship just wasn't there. But I think for him, it was like, shoot, hey, let's get married, let's have fun and do life. And that's what we were doing. We was living life. I mean, we was balling out of control, taking trips out of town, doing what we wanted to do, because we didn't have a worry or a care in the world. We didn't have to worry about finding a babysitter and, all this stuff. And so in 2010, that changed for us. We had gone out. I never forget this night. I remember what I had on. I remember where we were. I remember everything about this night. We had gone out to the motorcycle club, because that's what he and I did. We were on the motorcycle scene, so we met there. He didn't bring me into that world. We met there. And so we were out doing what we do, hanging with our friends and stuff. And, sometimes he could be a little heavy on the alcohol. And, I would have to, kick into a different gear, to prepare myself for whatever was going to come about that night, because I knew what would happen, what could happen. And so we were riding home that night, and we were on the bike this night. And I remember him driving like crazy. I literally felt like I was about to fly off of the motorcycle. That's how fast he was going. And I remember just holding on, praying, saying, God, if you can just get me home, I promise I'm going to figure a way out of this, because I can't do this. This ain't that. This is not what's up. This ain't what's happening, because eventually something bad's going to happen to either me or him. Either he was going to kill me or I was going to kill him. I'm just being real. That's how bad we fought, And I remember getting home. And I went off on him so bad. I had rage. I'd never felt rage before. But that night, I had rage in me. I literally picked up our living room sofa and threw it across the room, because at that point, that night right there, I was ready to fight you back. I was always fearful of him, because he's a man. He had good energy, and I probably could get some jabs in, but I knew I wouldn't win the fight physically. But and so when you're not gonna win the fight physically, you start looking for other things to win the fight with, and that's the part I was trying to avoid, And so we had it out so bad, but for some odd reason, he didn't jump on me like he would any other time. And mind you, I was pregnant at this moment and didn't even know it. Mm-hmm. And so I was in so much rage. Like, I had a headache that I had never felt before. My head was swimming, and I woke up the next day, it was still the same. And I called my doctor. I said, listen, you got to put me on some kind of medication, because I'm going crazy. I was like, I just learned about this cancer. I'm dealing with this cancer, Me and my husband, we ain't seeing eye to eye. I literally feel like I want to kill him. You know, this is what I'm telling my doctor on the phone. Because again, I'm just who I am. I'm gonna keep it real with you. You know, I'm like, I literally want to kill this man. I ain't never felt like this in my life. This ain't even who I am. I don't even know me anymore. And he said, well, Tonja, come on into the office. You know, he said, let's see what we can do for you. And so as usual, you know, when you go to the doctor, you do your urine sample, they take your blood work or whatever. And so when I got into the room, I remember him saying, he was like, hey, did you do your blood work and stuff before you came in? I said, yes, sir, I did. He said, okay, I'll be right back. Give me one moment. Went out like he usually do. He came back in. He had this little circular device, and, you know, he was clicking over, you know, to whatever the months or whatever. And he was like, well, he said, I think I know why you want to kill your husband. He was like, congratulations, you're going to become a mom. And in that moment right there, I passed out. Passed out. I think he passed out too. I don't know. Because when I woke up, he was sitting on me like, woo, you know, he fanning. I'm looking crazy. And I'm going, what did you just say to me? And he was like, he said, yeah, I know how you're feeling, because I'm kind of feeling the same way myself, you know. He said, but congratulations, you're going to be a mommy. And I'm like, in that moment, you know, my heart filled with so much emotions, but it's crazy because I really couldn't be happy, because the thoughts that came to my head was that I was damaged goods. I'm with a man that, I'm going to be honest, I knew he wasn't a great father, because I'm his wife. I'm married to him. And again, he had 2 kids that were deceased, but he did have another child. But I never seen him spend quality time with her. I never seen him do things that a dad and daughter should do. And again, the nurturing mother inside of me was trying to fill that void with him and her by stepping in and doing things, but her mom wasn't like the other moms. Her mom, you know, still was in love with him and wanted him and was trying to understand how you go marry this woman, and what about me and you know. So it was just so much going on. And I remember asking God, God, why did you let me get pregnant by him out of all the people in the world? Why him? And I didn't understand it at the time, but everything God does is intentional and it serves a purpose. But I remember asking God that, why him? You know, I was not set up or prepared to be a single mother. I always had the vision of family in my head, and I knew that there were things that I was not going to allow my son to be exposed to or go through because of some things that I went through as a child, you know, seeing my mom and dad argue sometimes and fuss and fight. And I knew the kind of trauma that could bring on to a child, and the responsibility also that it puts on a child. You know, children should not have adult responsibilities on them, period, in no way, shape, form, or fashion. That's why I'm very careful with the responsibilities and workloads that I give to my son. Now, I don't just let him have his way, but I also don't force him to do certain things because he's a child. You know, grown folks, we're quick to tell children, you know, you need to stay in a child place, but we put them in grown folk situations all the time. So, anyway, I had to, I remember calling him, you know, to tell him that, well, the good news, you know, hey, you know, we're going to be parents. But I could literally, you know, I'm an empath. So it's really hard for anybody to lie to me. I'm just being honest. You can lie to me and feel comfortable about it, good about it. And I might even go along with your lie and make you feel good and comfortable about it. But trust you me, deep down inside, I know the truth. I just don't address it all the time. I just leave it where it is, because when you're empath, it's this connection with God. It's this connection, this spiritual discernment that you have, you know. And I felt his energy over the phone. He wasn't happy when I told him, although he portrayed to be. You know, he was like, you know, well, what are you doing? I was like, I'm sitting in the hallway because I can't move right now. You know, I literally could not drive because I was overwhelmed with two kinds of emotions. The fact that God did what man said couldn't be done, and the fact that, you know, well, now that this is here, where do we go from here? And, you know, although we had our issues, you know, in the marriage, you know, so I wouldn't dare say that the child was the result of the divorce, or, you know, us being separated and then divorcing, but the birthing of the child. And I tell Deidre Jr. this all the time: you don't realize that you saved my life. He was the miracle, the blessing. And he was the tool that was used as a way of escape for me from the abusive marriage. And so I knew that I, you know, didn't want my child raised in that kind of environment. And so I knew that after I had the baby, that I had to make a plan. You know, I think, you know, you worked at the YWCA many years ago. I went through a program there called Project SOAR, and it's for people that have been through domestic abuse, domestic violence, because I went through that in my first marriage too. But again, we'll do an episode about those kind of things later. But, you know, I had gone through that with my first marriage. So went through Project SOAR, and you know, I remember them telling us that, you know, because people are always like, you know, when you're a victim of domestic violence, like, shoot, I would have just left. I would have did. Yeah, it's easy to say what you would have done in a situation that you're not in or a part of. And so it just wasn't that easy for me. But what I learned in that course is that sometimes you have to have a plan. And you have to plan far ahead. And so when I became pregnant, I knew that I had to have a plan. And I started planning my way of escape while my son was inside of me. I wish that I could say that I had the most beautiful pregnancy in the world. You know, I hear so many beautiful stories about pregnancy. Mine was not. It was the exact opposite. It was a terrible pregnancy. You know, keep in mind, I just had two major abdominal surgeries, one in which they had to reconstruct all my insides because nothing was where it's supposed to be. My stomach, my intestines, none of that stuff. So I had some extensive surgeries done, plus having a 21-pound mass tumor removed from my belly. So I had gone through a lot in my body. And so when I conceived my son, the reason that headache swam like that is because I found out that my blood pressure was so elevated that I literally was at the brink of dying. So they had to get me a cardiologist. I had to see a cardiologist on a regular basis, and I was still trying to go to work. And they said to me, you know, hey, we're going to have to pull you off this job. There's no way that you could work. So I was on bed rest the majority of my pregnancy. I could hardly eat when I was pregnant. And, you know, that's very important when you're pregnant, you know, eating and keeping nutrition in your body and things of that nature. Well, for me, it wasn't that easy because I could not digest food properly. The only thing I could eat, I remember, was like McDonald's chicken nuggets. That's the only thing that would like literally stay down. But other than that, I was like literally drinking pickle juice. I was drinking Powerade and things of that nature. And so I at some point, my belly just wasn't expanding enough. It wasn't big enough, you know. And so they started to, you know, do, what do you call the, sonograms. Yeah, they started to do them weekly just to make sure everything was okay with the baby. And the baby was fine. He was just underweight. Every time they measured him, he was underweight. So when I had him, he was 3 pounds. I literally could like just hold him in my hand. He was so tiny, but he was full of personality, full of energy. I remember in the NICU the first time they fed him, because they had these little tubes up his nose to give him milk. And I guess Duna was like, I'm not with this. He snatched him out. So they was like, we're going to try this little joke on the bottle. And he drank that bottle and he burped so loud, like the whole NICU, you could hear it throughout the whole NICU. And it was like, we know that did not just come from little man. You know, they was like, oh my God, he belched like a truck driver. You know, they was like, he gonna be out of here in no time, because they only wanted him to get to, 4 pounds or whatever. So, I left his father when he was 1. He had just turned 1. I'll never forget, because I waited till after his first birthday party, because I did want to share that moment with his father. I wanted to see his reaction, his interaction. I wanted to see what it would be like. And so a part of me just kind of knew that, I was still gonna end up going through abuse with him, and I didn't want my son to be in that kind of environment. I didn't want him to be raised around that, so I left with the intentions of my husband learning a lesson. Unfortunately, it ended in divorce. I thought that he would think enough of his family to say, I need to make some changes. I need to let this motorcycle club go. I need to be at home with my wife and my son. But everything went downhill from there. And so I did what I felt was best for me and my child at that time. And so I left. And so it has built a foundation for Dooney and I, as we affectionately call him Dooney. His dad gave him that nickname. And so we've become, like you say, life partners. He's literally my little best friend. He's literally my protector. He's literally my caregiver, which is the most hurtful thing for me. While it's a blessing to have him there, but I just feel like no child, especially at his age, should have to be concerned or be taking care of a parent that's dealing with a disease that no one can see. They can't see the physical ailments that I go through. They can't see the sickness that I go through, because people see this. They see me smiling all the time, and they think they see energy. And they might see me, on Facebook doing a live, but when I get off that live, it's like I'm literally stripping out my clothes to lay back down and get in bed, because I'm completely exhausted, or I've been throwing up and my body just doesn't feel well. And I'm dealing with diabetes and cancer at the same time, but yet this kid is always there, listening for, because usually if I'm sick, I always do something weird, and I can hear those footsteps running from a mile away. Mama, you okay? You need something? You good? And he just impresses me. Like, he really impresses me. The love that I have for him is really unexplainable, because I've never loved like that before. As much as I've been in love a time or two, but I've never loved the way that I love my child. It's a different kind of love. He loves on me in such a way that sometimes it worries me, because I'm like, I don't want you to be so attached to me that you can't venture off and be your own person. So we have adult-like conversations. We talk like you and I are talking right now, because he understands it. He gets it. And, I think that he's going to be a great human, a great husband, a great father, because of the things that he has to go through with me. He's there with me when there's no money in the bank and we don't know where our next meal is going to come from. He's there with me when my body just won't let me be great and I'm in bed all day, all night. He's there with me when he sees that something isn't right and he said, Mama, come and let me rub your feet. He's so significant to me. He is my world. I don't cherish him to the point that, I love him so hard that I can't let him go, because one day I am going to have to let him go. The first time was when I gave him back to God when he was a baby. I literally had to give him back to God because he belongs to God. He belongs to God. But we do so much together. We pray together. This boy gonna get the oil when his mama sick. Like, He don't just be like, God, heal my mama, amen. Now he gonna get the oil. He gonna put the cross on my head, on my stomach, wherever I'm aching at, because of the environment that he's been brought up in with my mom and my auntie, you know, rest in heaven, Auntie Shirley, you know, but he saw that as a baby. And so that's in him now, you know, that he's 10. So he still does that. Like, he's been on this journey with me literally since he was 5 years old. I missed his first day of kindergarten because I was in the hospital. I was sick. I missed first days of school because I'm in the hospital with bowel obstruction for 7 days. And, you know, being away from your kid like that at a young age, and you have to put that responsibility in somebody's hand. You know, God, I thank you for my mama. God, I thank you for my sister and my brother-in-law. Lord knows I do, because those people have been the people that have been there for Dooney no matter what. I mean, 24 hours round the clock. But they can't love him like I can love him. I know they love him, but they can't love him like I love him. Nobody can. Nobody can. And so being a single mom and having to think about things like planning a will, you know, I even have gone as far as to the last time that I had surgery, which was in 2019. And you know this, I began to plan my funeral. Not so much because I thought I was going to die. Now, I was having thoughts of death. The enemy was attacking me really bad about me not living, you know, long. But God has promised me long life. So with long life, I'm satisfied. I remember you said those words to me. You said, you got to speak that thing. You said, you got to say it this way. With long life, I am satisfied. And I still do that every day. I say, with long life, I am satisfied. And so, you know, having to think about things like, because one day I'm gonna die, you know, that's just a given fact. No time soon, but I'm gonna die one day. But I need to make sure that he's taken care of because of his age right now. So I had to put things in order, and that was hard. That was very hard. That was very hard, but you know, to know Dooney is to love him.
Yes.
He's a mini me. I mean, he's a mini me. He literally has so much of my personality. He loves God for himself. It's not a forced thing. I'm sure a lot of people feel like I probably forced Dooney to go to church and do all the things that he does. I don't. It wasn't my idea to make him a junior deacon. It wasn't my idea for him to get up and just start ushering at the church. I'm like, boy, nobody told you to do that. And, you know, Pastor loved it. He was like, I loved it. I looked up and he was standing in the middle of the doors. He was making sure wasn't nobody coming in, you know, because he loved God for himself, because he's seen God perform miracles. He knows that he is a miracle. You know, you said this to me, Tonja, you are the miracle. And I accepted that. And I started saying that. I started manifesting that. But Dooney knows that he's the miracle. And he says it. He'll tell people, I'm a miracle child. You know, that's how he talk to people, you know. So to know him is to love him. And you know, it's so amazing, because even people that don't like me, they like my son. And I'm okay with that.
Right.
I lived it.
Right.
You ain't got to like me. You don't have to. But they love my child. I mean, they do things for him. People that I've been around a long time that don't fool with me. You know, I watch Facebook posts and stuff. I watch likes and all that stuff. They might not never like anything I say, any ministry opportunity I do, any business proposition I put out there. But let me post a picture of Dooney. They are the first people to like and love it. And I love it. Because I'm just not that simple-minded and narrow-minded. Because again, I respect that everybody's not going to like me. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But they love my boy. And I can't wait to see the rest of the favor that's going to be on his life. Because some great things are going to happen for this kid. Like, yeah.
So with that, with you saying that, my next question to you is, what do you see and hope for him to come?
To be honest with you, I haven't mapped out his future. I'm a part of the roadmap to his future. But it's really not my position to map his future out. That's his job. That's, you know, between him and God. I don't tell him what I think he should be. I don't force him to feel like he has to go to a 4-year college. He might want to be a auto mechanic. I don't know. He loves cars. I do ask those questions from time to time. You know, like, son, you thinking about what you want to do with your future yet? I mean, he's still 10, man. He got his whole life ahead of him, you know. So I don't put those barriers on him. I allow him to live in his freedom, to be who he's called to be. I think sometimes as parents, we take too much control over our children's lives and future by wanting them to be who we weren't, wanting them to be better than who we were. I don't know what God's compass is for his life. I don't know what pain he's going to have to endure. I don't know what situations he's going to be put in, you know, that he's going to have to get himself out of, you know, that mama can't do it for you this time. It's a lesson you're going to have to learn on your own. All I know is that as mama, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to do my part, do what I can. But, you know, that's like a lot of people question me, like, you let him lock his hair? That was a freedom, you know, that's his, you know, his hair. There are certain things like now, you know, his cousins, they have their ears pierced and they're younger than him. He already knows that's an absolute no for me until you're in high school or whatever, you know, then maybe, yeah, you know, you can make that decision. But right now, while I'm taking care of you and I'm having to provide for you, it's a no. It's a no for me. My son has always embraced natural beauty. Was I natural when I had braids when I had him? But I cut my hair natural after I had him. And he always played in it. Like, he was so fascinated by it. And like, even when I started to lock my hair, you know, he would always, you know, just run his fingers through my hair. And he'd say, "You're so beautiful, mama," you know. And I said, this boy really gonna like natural beauty. Like, you know, it's two things I know he gonna like. He gonna like white women and he gonna like natural black women. I know this for a fact because I've just seen it all his life growing up. And I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. You know, I just feel like because of my prayers, because of my faith and my trust in God, what I pray over his life, I believe that God will honor that. Mm-hmm. But that he'll be sufficient enough to make the right decisions. You know, we had 2 affirmations that we would say before, you know, he goes into school. And one is, Diedrich is a leader and not a follower. And the other one is to do the right thing even when no one is looking. You know, mm-hmm. that's integrity. Mm-hmm. So I allow him to be a child. I allow him to mess up and make mistakes. Children are going to do children things. You know, I ain't that parent that's finna go all off the wall. But I'm teaching him responsibility at an early age because I want him to be self-sufficient. I don't want him to have to depend on a woman to do anything for him. I don't want him to have to depend on her to cook for him, wash his clothes, wash the dishes, keep the house clean. Those are things that he can do for himself. And I started him at an early age. I started him maybe around 7, washing dishes and, you know, learning how to run the washing machine and the dryer. And so now I don't have that argument with him, you know, because I hear a lot of parents like, I can't get this child to do X, Y, Z. We ain't having it in the Cummins household. Cause guess what? You know what you're supposed to be doing. Now, do I have to check him? Yeah, because he's getting in that tween stage and the room ain't as clean as it used to be. And I'm seeing Coke cans here, you know, and I'm like, hey, buddy, we got to do something about this because this ain't that. This ain't how we live in here. But, you know, I know he's going to be all right. Mm-hmm. I can say this, and I'm going out there with this. If I die right now, I'm comfortable because he's in a place now where he knows some things for himself, and he ain't gonna let nobody make a fool of him. I don't care who it is, my mama, sister, nobody. So I can die in peace, knowing that he's not the 5-year-old that I could have left behind, you know, 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So he all right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to tie this in though, because it sounds like God has taught you, and you have become a wise parent in the realm that is for your life and his life. So let's tie this into little Tonja, because we always talk about parenting your inner child, being able to go back, or not necessarily go back, because we know we can't go back, but you revisit your life as a little child and give yourself what you didn't get.
Absolutely.
So how would you, or what would you say, or how would you parent little Tonja?
I would parent little Tonja the way that I'm parenting Dooney, Diedrich Jr. I would always tell her that I love her. I always tell my son that I love him a million times a day. And he does the same with me. He could be in his room on that game. He could be going out here, Ma, I love you. And I'm like, I love you too, son. We make that a part of our everyday routine, because as people, we need to know that we're loved. And specifically by our parents.
So did you hear I love you a lot as a child? Because you said that you always told people that you love them, but did you hear that a lot as a child?
Not from my parents. I heard it from my grandmother, my mom's mother, always from her, but not from my parents. And that'll be another conversation that we'll have down the road. But I say that to say this, that my mom had been hurt by love before, so I don't really think she knew how to show her love in a loving way. She's so aggressive. I mean, if you know my mom, she talk hard, she rough around the edges. I mean, but good as gold, would do anything for anybody. Good as gold, but she struggled in that area. She still struggles in that area sometimes, but and it used to really agitate me and get under my skin, because I would hear her tell my cousins, all right, I love you, but she never addressed my sister and I with that. And I would always relate it back to some things that happened within our family, because she had her own stuff to deal with and to heal from too, because it was detrimental. It was detrimental around the whole equation. And so imagine being a kid kind of feeling abandoned by both of her parents. The two people that should have constantly told me they loved me the most.
Or even protected you.
Yeah.
Or even allowed you to express yourself. Yeah. Or made you feel comfortable enough to express yourself. Yeah. When you needed to. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you grow up and you see other kids, in families, and you could see and feel the love, and then you go back home and it's you're trying to as a kid, you're trying to cope, you're trying to heal things that you don't even really understand, that you don't fully understand. You just know that something ain't right about this. It shouldn't feel this way. It shouldn't be this way. And it made me grow up way too fast. It made me grow up way too fast, which is why I have no rushes with him. I want him to be a kid as long as he want to be a kid, But it's funny, I had a discussion the other day with my sister then, because he went to the mall with them. Dooney has a phobia of escalators. They called me, it was like, this boy sitting up here acting a fool in the Galleria, crying, and it dawned on me. I said, well, you know what? This isn't a typical fear. It's a phobia. Fears and phobias are two different things. I said, so let him take the steps. Let him go down the whatever. He don't like escalators. We ain't having this conversation no more. Period. I'm done with it. My boy got a phobia. And I don't feel no kind of way about it. I don't feel like it make him less than a boy, because he don't like to go up and down the escalator. I know grown people that don't like to do it. Your shoestring can get caught in it. I'm just saying, anything can happen.
Absolutely.
And like I told him, I said, I get it. You want to take the elevator, but I said, you do know this elevator can stop too now, and you'll be stuck. And see, in here, you can't be in the free world and just take that shoe off and climb down them steps. See, I put things on his mind. You know, I don't force it, but I put it on his mind, and I let him think about it. And a month or two later, he'll come back and say, "Ma, I was thinking about what you said about XYZ." Like, he's so mature. So, you know, I would definitely tell her I love her. I would, as a father, if I could be a father to her, I would teach her. I would have taught her what real love looked like. That you can't believe everything a man tells you. I would have taken her on dates, on daddy-daughter dates, so that she would know what to receive from a man. I would have, and I would say this about my mom. Now, she always told me about women, you know, you got to watch these women, and, you know, we would go to war about that, you know, but because I used to be so darn open and loving and caring, and, you know, just thought that everybody genuinely liked me and we would be okay, I had to learn that lesson the hard way. And I didn't get it until I was an adult. I literally got it last year. I literally got it now. Even after being hurt by women, you know, in high school, college, dating, through marriages, divorces, I finally got it last year. Because I've been so hurt in relationships with men that I never really put any energy into the hurt that came behind relationship with women, because I'm like, we emotional, we go through this, we have ups and downs, highs and lows, but I loved some certain women so hard because I trusted them with the trust that I had gone through this with somebody, so I'm opening up to you and I'm trusting you with this, not to imagine that I would go through the same. I mean, it felt, man, it felt like a ton of bricks had hit me. Like, that was the, ooh. You know, I talked earlier about feeling rage. I almost went back to that place. See, we have to be careful that we don't let certain things take us back to places, you know, because, see, once people put certain things out in the atmosphere about you, other people tend to believe it without even getting to know you, the real you, who you are. And, you know, a lot of people probably judge my character based off of some of the things that people say, well, that's just her character. If she like that, blah, blah, blah. No. Because I still hold on to so many secrets. I still hold on to people that we both talked about together. But now I see y'all posted up in pictures together and y'all doing this, that, living your best life. And I just sit back and I be tripping. I be like, well, why is it that they can just believe what so-and-so said, and, you know, they can just carry on with them, not even knowing that this person probably talked about you worse than or more than I did, but you hold the hands with them. That's hurtful. That's hurtful. So I said all that to say, you know, my mama always told me to watch that, and I wished I would have just paid more attention to her back then, you know, but I felt like, well, dog, I ain't gonna have no friends if I keep on doing, you know, doing this or listen to that. But I wished I just would have taken that advice a long time ago. The little Tonja, I would tell her that it's okay to be alone, to be by yourself. You don't have to have playmates, dear. It's okay. Being an only child, it puts you in a position that you desire to have a sibling, or, you know, like I say, you're always around other people. I wish I would have spent more alone time with Tonja. Then I could have better nurtured her myself. I could have did some self-work back then.
Right. But you know what? I'm seeing you do that now when you take yourself out on your dates with yourself. Like when you're going to a restaurant. When I saw you first post that, I think a few weeks ago, I was like, oh my God. Like that is so amazing. And so here you are now talking about, you know, if you were parenting her, you would take her on dates. And now you're doing that for yourself. So I wanted to say that to say that sometimes what we think we're missing or have missed, we can feel that ourselves.
Yes.
And I'm seeing you do that. And so I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Because I know that it's even though we are in 2021, it's still looked upon really crazy to see somebody in a restaurant by themselves, especially a woman, you know. But the fact that you can do that now, and you don't need people.
And that's a really big thing for me, because, you know, I think I shared with you how I hate doing anything alone. That was one of my problems. I did not like to be alone. That's why I ended up with certain men and ended up with certain folks in my bed that shouldn't have been there, because I did not like to be alone. God almost forced me into a position that you ain't got no choice but to be alone right now. Because guess what? I'm finna rip every friendship apart. I'm finna take every Negro out your Rolodex. Like, I was laughing the other day. We were at my nephew's birthday party, and I was like, my phone's so dry, it don't even ring. Because I don't know, I was looking for this, and I was like, it's sad, it don't even ring no more, you know. But I prayed for this, so why would I question it now? You know, I'm like, Tonja, you prayed to be able to go to a restaurant and eat by yourself and actually enjoy it. Like, I enjoyed that moment. On my way there, I was dancing, listening to music. I felt like I looked good, you know. I ordered what I wanted to eat. I didn't wait on nobody to order for me. I sat there, I ate, I did whatever I did, and I even just sat there for a little while, you know, finished my beverage and on my Facebook or whatever, you know. And I'm owning these moments because I put in work to finally be here. Like, I'm finally in a moment that I fought all my life for. I went through some hell to get here, to be in this place of peace, to be in this place where, it, you know, no one can define me. I'm defining myself. I'm making my own definition of me. You know, I just posted a quote the other day, you know, legacy pieces of me. I love the way the pieces of me are coming together. And I'm okay being there. I was never okay being there. Now I'm confident in being there. I love this place. I love where I am right now. I love that I'm able to sit here and have this conversation with you and not feel heart palpitations and not feel like I gotta think about what I'm gonna say before I say it. At this moment right here, this conversation, whatever's coming up is coming out, and I'm okay with it.
So where did the change come? Where did this transition from, you know, the person that wanted to always have people in her life to now being okay? Where did that transition happen? Or how did you become this person that you are right now? The person that is at total peace with where she is in her life.
I got hurt.
And that's almost like an oxymoron, you know, like I got hurt and now I'm at peace, you know?
Yeah, it is, but that's the truth. I got hurt. I lost a friend that I thought I would never lose because, oh, thank you, Holy Spirit. We got to be careful when we attach ourselves to people that we don't make them our gods, that we don't give more attention and time to them than what we are giving to God. Not only was I hurt by that, I was hurt by the fact that I never planned to fall in love again, and I fell in love. But I had to go through it by myself. Well, I was going through it with my friend, but you know, it is what it is. And so I had to go through it alone in a pandemic when we couldn't go nowhere. When I caught COVID and my son had COVID. And now I'm in this house with these four walls closing in on me. And it's just me and God. And that's how that hashtag came about. Because it was just me and God in that moment. And I had to deal with a lot of stuff. I had to deal with my sins. I had to deal with things that I may have done to hurt people. And again, I had to deal with me. You know, like I said, healing is a continuous journey. It was just a new type of healing that I was having to come out of. I feel like I'm in the exact season of my life where God wants me to be. Mm-hmm. It's not crowded. I'm not even put in a position to hear anybody else's gossip. See, a lot of times, you might not even be a gossiper. You might be listening to stuff that can overwhelm you too. Mm-hmm. And I've been that person that have overwhelmed people with my stuff. You know, I've said to you before, like, D, listen, if I'm dumping too much on you, please let me know. And I be sincere when I say stuff like that, because either I can feel it, I can sense it. Because again, remember, I'm an empath, so it might be easy for a person to lie to me, but it's hard for me to accept the lie because I already know the truth. So that's why I always tell people, just be real with me from the jump. Don't think you can slick talk me, or you can say something that, well, I'm going to let her know in this way, but I'm going to be nice, nasty about it at the time, because I already know where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, if I ask you something, because I don't like to ask people for nothing. You know that about me. I don't like to ask for nothing. Mm-hmm. But if I ask you something, whether it's a quote, you need to put it in your head. She already know. Yes. She ain't just asking me this to blow her breath. She already know. She just want the truth from me. And I can accept the hard truth and still love you. I can accept when you say to me, well, Tonja, you might need to change XYZ, or Tonja, do something different. I can accept it. People need to be okay with knowing that people can accept the truth from you. It don't mean you got to fall out. It don't mean it got to be the end of the road. The bridge has got to be burnt. It doesn't. You know, I literally just went through a season of my life where almost a whole leadership team at a church blocked me on Facebook. A whole leadership team. Not because I did something to them, but because I had a conversation with their leader. Now, I ain't saying you ain't supposed to stand up for your folks. I get it. But it also made sense to what I was going through and feeling and dealing with while I was there. Mm-hmm. It made sense to me. But even in that, it was necessary. Mm-hmm. I needed that hurt. I needed the rejection. I needed them to turn their backs on me.
And speaking of that, I know that over the last year, not only did this transition happen with you, mm-hmm. but also I know for a fact mm-hmm. that some people just fell out of your life. Mm-hmm. So how did you deal with, you're in this transition, we're in a pandemic, mm-hmm. you know, and the people that because even though we were in a pandemic and we were quote unquote isolated, we still did the most to make the most of our relationships, mm-hmm. you know. Mm-hmm. But for you, it was a time when people were at least trying to mend and trying to have a connection, the people in your life were like, bye, see you, you know, with not even an explanation or anything. So how did that, number one, affect you, but also how did you deal with that?
So, again, you know, people have a right to do whatever they want to do. I can't force them to stay. I can't force them to try to understand or figure out anything. But what I wished would have happened was that they sat and they prayed and they said, something isn't right with Tonja. This isn't even her character. This isn't who she is. What's going on with her mentally? Because although all of us was going through our own issues and problems and this, that, and the other, but sometimes I don't think people understands what it takes to be sick, a single parent, raising a child on a once-a-month income when you're used to working, wanting to have a co-parenting relationship, wanting to, be able to say, hey, let's meet you and our son go out and eat dinner or go to a movie. Like, I would desire that. I would love that. But because it's been put in the atmosphere that I'm bitter and I'm angry and all this stuff. Now, at first, yeah, but I'm so far from that. I'm so far from that. I just don't think people understand or understood, just like Simone Biles right now. People are trying to figure out, like, is she really having a mental health breakdown, or is she backing out because, of these medals and all this stuff? So imagine how that woman feel right now, because she in a real mental health crisis. She really needs somebody. She crying out saying, y'all, I got something going on up here right now that I can't even focus on being a Olympic star right now. I can't even focus on doing a cartwheel. But because people see her so strong and they see her so great at her sport and what she does, their expectation of her is to fix it, figure it out, and get back to being who you were to us so we can cheer you on and clap for you because we want to see you in the Olympics. Now I'm pissed because you ain't in the Olympics. Really? That's selfish. That's selfish. The same people that want you to understand their mental health issues. Mm-hmm. They come to you and pour and dump on you. And not say, but what can I do for you? Mentally, what can I do for you? How many times do you say to yourself, I'm going to trust like I've never trusted before. I'm going to love like I've never been hurt before, only to get shitted on over and over and over again. I told my girlfriend Tonja this. We sat down at her house one evening. We had an intimate conversation. I was purchasing things at her house. She saw the heaviness on me, and so I began to tell her, I was going through tensions and things of that nature. I said, I don't want friends anymore. I don't even want friends. I don't want to be bothered with nobody. I just want to chill with my family, chill. Me and my son chill with my family, and I'm good. That's how I felt. But even in that, God said, you so selfish. I said, really? I'm selfish. After what I've been through, what folks that I loved and cared about put me through. It's funny because I can remember, telling one of my friends, like, you need to get out more. You need to get from out that house. You need to do this and do that. And, she was content. She was like, no, I'm in my place. I don't got to be doing. And now I'm watching her enjoy her life. I'm watching her have fun. And I'm saying to myself, but that's what I told you. And now you don't even fool with me no more. You don't even, I said, you don't even fuck with me. And I was there when you was crying. I was there when you was going through stuff that you didn't want nobody else to know. And we shared with each other. But you did that to me. But I'm supposed to be okay with it. I'm supposed to accept it and move on. I'm human. I hurt too. I'm seeing you congratulate everybody else, wishing everybody else a happy birthday. You didn't even have a common courtesy to just say happy birthday to me. I did something to you that bad? Like, real talk, I know we hurt each other in life. But what I do to you that bad?
And so once it's over and you're having those moments where you look back or you're looking at this person living their life and moving on and realizing that, you know, you didn't do anything. Sometimes it's not that you did anything at all. It could be that they just shifted and changed or whatever. When you're looking at what now is compared to what was, how do you keep a smile on your face?
Because I'm smiling from within. Because I know my heart. I'm not a malicious person. Even in some sin that I was in recently, I'm not a malicious person. My struggle in that sin was fighting to come out of it, to not be, you know, malicious. Because that's not who I am. We all find ourselves in situations sometimes that we don't want to be in. We do things that we know isn't right. But we cool with that as long as other people don't know about it. But what happens when that kind of stuff comes to the forefront and you got to deal with it? You know, that's why I try not to pretend. I try not to put up facades. Because I know I'm human. I know error is going to happen. But I also want to be okay with being able to say, yeah, I did this, but here is how I overcame it, or this is what I did to make it better. Some people always want you to stay stuck in your stuff. Mm-hmm. They want to see you there. They like you in that place. They like you better when you're in that place. But when they see you moving on and you happy and you're going on about your life, it's like, I wonder how she moving on so fast. How she getting over this something? How she doing that? You know, because this joy that I got, the world didn't give it to me, and the world can't take it from me, because the joy of the Lord is my strength. I believe every word that the Bible say. See, some people, we read the Bible and we believe the parts that fit our lives. But I believe every word that the Bible says, you know, from the beginning, from Genesis to Revelation. I believe that I got to be accountable for everything that I've done, every sin that I've made, everything that I've done wrong in life. I believe I got to be accountable for it. I also believe that God is a good God. He's merciful. He's just, and that he doesn't take his hand off of his favorite children. I believe I'm one of his favorite children. Favor ain't fair, they say, but I thank God I got it, you know. I'm going to treat people right. I'm going to treat people right. I'm going to do my best to anyway. And I'm going to forgive. I don't care what you done to me. I forgave hard forgiveness in my life. I forgave my molester. I forgave the husbands that beat me, the husbands that mistreated me, misused me, tried to use me, didn't take care of me properly as a husband. I've forgiven friends that talked about me and did me dirty and did me wrong behind my back and put me in situations where I could have ended up in prison and all this stuff. But then you want to get mad at me and you want to fall out with me for life? Child, please. Get somewhere. Get somewhere. So it's always easy. It's so easy to judge the next person. But do we really sit down and think about how we could have done something differently for a person simply because we was in our feelings?
That's powerful.
You know, I've had friends that, you know, you don't want me to discuss your business, but y'all sit down at y'all family dinner table and y'all talk my business. And then I hear my business coming from your spouse because y'all done had pillow talk. And it's something that we done said in our girl group. We pink and sweater. We ain't finna talk about this and tell this to nobody. Why I hear your husband talking about it? But then when I check you on it, or when I say something to you about it, then now it's, oh, Tonja this, she upset, she just mad, and I don't, you know, oh, she hurt me. I hurt you? What did you do to hurt me? Did you ever ask yourself that question? Did I hurt her? Could what I've done hurt her? It ain't nothing that bad in the world. I feel like it ain't nothing that bad in the world that I can't forgive nobody for. I'm sorry. You know, yeah, sometimes you have to let go and move on, but it's some stuff you fight for. And for me, Friendships, I fight for my friendships before I give up on them. I fight real hard. Real hard. I don't care if I ain't speaking to you. If something happened in your family, guess what? I'm probably going to be the first person to call. Hey, do you need anything? Can I bring you something? See, people, man, so twisted and sick, they'll say, oh, she don't mean that. She just trying to be nosy. See, that's how the devil uses us. The devil will use us because somebody could really be coming from a sincere place. And because of what you done been through, or because somebody done hurt your feelings, hurt your little feelings, sitting and socializing every day, won't even come to your rescue, won't even show up for your loved one funeral.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true.
I remember my dad took me to I don't even know what to call it. I don't know what to call it, friend, associate, whatever. But I remember he took me to a funeral because I was drunk. I was hungover. And I couldn't drive because the funeral was like out of town. You know, it wasn't far, but it was out of town. But he said, I'll take you, baby, if you really want to go. And I said, yeah, because I got to be there for them. You know, I got to go. I can't not go. So I'm asleep on the way there to get this hangover up off of me. But I showed up. Mm-hmm. And I feel like sometimes that don't account for nothing. You can show up for people, and they still account you out. They'll still hold on to the one thing that pissed them off about you. And they'll talk about it like you ain't supposed to know they talking about you. I mean, come on, it's Facebook, people. We all know what a subliminal post is. We know when you addressing a certain issue about a certain person and all this. We play stupid. We play geek. We play dumb. But come on. Keep it real. You know, I say this all the time. Because there's some people, like I said, that I know that still follows me on social media that's going to watch these conversations because they want to hear what I'm saying. They don't want to miss it. They want to know what I'm saying. But if you don't like me, if you don't care for me, please remove yourself from my life. All of my life. Don't stay in one place and then, remove yourself from another place. Just be gone. Because I'm not going to remove you. I'm going to let you sit there and watch whatever it is that you're looking for. I pay attention to, some people won't say anything to me on Facebook. But on IG, if I post something, they love it, they're going to click that hard. And I sit there and I say, but they can't let the world know that they following me like that. Mm-hmm. But that helped.
Wow. Wow.